Let's hear about Dactyl Hill Squad. Tell the esteemed audience about the series. Then there's the second book that's available this month.
Yeah, so Dactyl Hill Squad is set in 1863. Starts in New York City in July, which for those history buffs out there know that is exactly when three actually gigantic occurrences in the course of the Civil War happened. Gettysburg and Vicksburg both ended as Union victories, and those actually both ended on the 4th of July. And then right around that same time were the famed New York draft riots, which were a lot of the pro-slavery elements in New York and in the North in general, violently resisting fighting in the war, essentially by targeting their ire at the draft houses and at the black neighborhoods of New York City. So we meet our protagonist, Magdalise Roca, at the Colored Orphan Asylum, which was a real institution back in those days. Mind you, there's dinosaurs running around in the street. I guess that's important too. But it is a fantastical version of 1863 where there's dinosaurs everywhere. And Magdalise, who's always loved dinosaurs but never had a chance to really interact with them, realizes that she has this incredible and magical power to connect to dinosaurs with her mind, that they understand her thoughts and essentially do what she wants them to do, and that she can understand their thoughts. They don't speak in English, but she understands what the sounds emotionally mean. And so she develops this connection on the very night of the New York draft riots, comes back to the orphanage to find it burnt to the ground, which really did happen. The rioters burnt an orphanage with several hundred children inside to the ground. They all escaped except for one in real life. In this version of the world, they have a brachiosaurus that they've commandeered from the fire department who didn't need it anymore. And because Magdalise has this special power, they're able to get away to Brooklyn, where a lot of folks of color actually did escape to during that time. And there they fall in with a community of different organizers and freedom fighters based on real people from that era, and sort of become spies and different workers within that movement, flying around on pterodactyl back and stopping slavers in the New York harbor and having all kinds of adventures. And then eventually come down south into the actual middle belly of the Civil War in book 2, Freedom Fire, which just came out, because they're trying to find Magdalise's brother Montez, who was a Civil War soldier and was wounded in battle and seems to be missing in action.
So with this one, did you know going in that this one would be a series where you could
Yes.
plan it ahead of time?
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a series. There was no way to make it not a series. It was just, it's a big story.
Yeah, no, you've bitten. It was intimidating just to see what all you'd written. It was, oh my God, look at all you've bitten off the shoot. That the research alone of not only having to know all the dinosaurs, because I'm a good friend and a critique partner of mine is Laura Martin, who wrote the Edge of Extinction series,
Yeah.
and it's just dinosaurs here in Indiana. You've got not just dinosaurs that you have to research, but also the Civil War. So let's start there. How much research did you have to do to get this done?
It was a lot of research. But what happened was I kind of fell in love with the research part of it, as often happens. And so it just became like pleasure reading. I really spent most of my focus on the Civil War because the dinosaurs to me I did research them. I would like your audience to know. I definitely researched them. But to me, the dinosaurs are the fantastical aspect. They're also the aspect that there's lots of speculation and there's some information, but there's a lot more that we don't know than that we do about dinosaurs. And that's sort of why they work as a fantastical element, is that, the truth is we can take a lot of very educated guesses, but there's a whole lot that we don't know and we'll never know about how dinosaurs really lived and existed in this world. And so I used that to kind of have a good time and create this world that had, different elements and different creatures and things like that. That would just allow me to really let my imagination run wild, and I could decide, would a Triceratops be a good beast of burden, and why, and what are the different elements and the behavioral aspects. So that part I took more as fun and fantastical, and I really leaned into the historical aspects of the Civil War period, in part because I thought that was what really drew my fascination, and that's one that I think we need to do a different kind of archaeology, not the dinosaur kind, but to really recuperate a lot of the amazing stories of particular heroes of color who have not really had their day in the history books, mostly because white supremacist history tends to ignore a lot of the heroic acts that folks of color have done. And so just reading about all these amazing, people who did amazing things, and realizing that I had no idea about any of them. I hadn't heard about them. They don't have statues up. They don't have buildings named after them. But people who own human beings do, and I felt like that's a really terrible way to have history be told, is through the eyes of the people who owned other people. And so I really wanted to uplift some of these stories that we don't hear as much.
It's a great vehicle because, the younger readers will come in because the dinosaurs are consistent throughout. There's lots of great action, but they're also getting the history along with it.
Right.
And it doesn't feel like slow the fun down so we can get the history of there.
Right.
It's just, it's
Exactly.
within the story itself.
Exactly.
And it's the main force of antagonism.